We're just gonna give it a moment to let the waiting room clear. Please make sure you're muted as you enter the hearing. All right, good afternoon. This is the hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board. Today is October 19th, 2022. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to certain temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review some procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Cannabis Board, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Commissioners Darlene Lombos, Commissioner Lisa Holmes, Commissioner Alejandro St. Gian, and Commissioner John Smith.
Right.
Who will not be voting today, but he's joining us for his support.
Thank you, Chairwoman Joyce. And my name is Jasmine Lynn, and I am the Boston Cannabis Board Manager. We are also joined by Allison Quinn, who is the Project Manager for the BCB. While the public is encouraged to attend, there will be no additional public testimony accepted. I will read each item into the record. After, I will ask for comments from the board members. I will then ask if there's a motion, any questions on the motion, and then there will be a vote. Each board member has the ability to grant with conditions, defer, reject without prejudice, which means the applicant can return anytime with an application at the same location, or reject with prejudice, which means the applicant cannot reapply at the same location for 1 year. The first item we have, the applicant is Stone's Throw Cannabis LLC. The licensed premise is 727 Atlantic Avenue, Chinatown. And this is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary and courier license. The license request is to add DBA Firebrand Cannabis. Do any of the commissioners have any questions in regards to this proposal?
No.
Seeing none, Chairwoman Joyce, is there a motion?
I vote to approve the change of DBA.
Is there a second? Commissioner Holmes, second. All in favor?
Aye.
And none opposed. Petition is granted to add DBA Firebrand Cannabis. The next applicant is Vinyl Roots Inc., DBA Soul Cannabis. The proposed license premise is 340 North Market Street, Faneuil Hall. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant, and there is a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. We will now move to questions and comments from the members of the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks, Jasmine. I want to jump in and talk about the evaluation criteria. We evaluate these applications 4 categories: diversity inclusion plan, location, employment plan, community feedback, public support, safety and security plan. This applicant scored strong in many of these categories, but I want to focus on the location first. Being that this is in a buffer zone, we have a statutory duty to begin from a place of opposition to any application within the buffer zone. The applicant is trying to make a case that Faneuil Hall is a separate ecosystem from downtown, but I'm not completely persuaded by this at this time. The application refers to a number of visits to Faneuil Hall every year, and I'd just like to dig some more into that. It might come up in our own conversation. Faneuil Hall is a tourist destination, but the ripple effect of COVID-19 and its impact on tourism and businesses in that area have left this part of the city far from the pre-pandemic levels. There are existing cannabis establishments around here. We actually have 6 establishments within the buffer zone. And this buffer zone was instituted years ago to prevent a hyper concentration of cannabis establishments and to keep dispensaries from setting up a stone's throw from each other. We have pierced the buffer zone in the neighborhoods. And those, in my opinion, were sort of one-off situations where a case was made about what made the other application different or unique, or how it wouldn't saturate that neighborhood. I don't know if we've reached saturation in the downtown area. I just don't know. I know we have 6 applications within the buffer zone, and I feel like we need more information. The 2 of them are open, Patriot Care and Ascend. We have Apex Noir at 150 State Street that's not opened yet. We have Raster Roots that's not opened yet, and that has had both of those have had signed HCA since 2021. We have Pure Oasis not opened yet, signed HCA from January. And then the High Street one, which is not opened yet, also was signed HCA from January. I think we need to take a close look at this. I think we need to find out from the applicants and from the CCC where these establishments are in the process to determine whether or not the buffer zone would negatively impact this particular area of the city. Restaurants don't have a buffer zone, but cannabis was legalized in the city with a buffer zone, and we can't choose to ignore it. It's a strong application in all of these categories, but I really think we need to sit and take a closer look at what the impact of this buffer zone is on this application. Those are my comments now, and I'm looking forward to hearing what the comments are from my fellow commissioners, because I do value your opinions.
Commissioner Holmes?
Actually, that information from the chairwoman helped. I didn't realize we had so many there. Because we seemed like we were just, well, not that we were just licensed, but things come up. So I didn't realize we had that many in the downtown area, and only 2 are open now. Is that what you're saying, Chairwoman?
Yes, the Cannabis on Milk Street and Ascend on Friend Street. The one down by TD Garden, and then
Okay, and Patriot Care is open too, right?
yeah, Patriot Care is also known as the Cannabis. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, we got those 2. Oh, so all right. So there's six licensed, 2 officially on, and they're all within the buffer zone. And so if we deferred to get, what would we be deferring to find out where in the, for lack of a better term, food chain, these other dispensaries are in becoming established and open?
Well, like throughout the city, we have this map on our website about where all the signed and executed HCAs are. Some of them are stale and old.
Right.
These ones I just pulled up a couple of days ago. A couple of them are from 2019. You know, this Patriot Care obviously was signed in 2016, but I am wondering when they would be opening. Sometimes these things take years of the CCC, and I'm not quite sure if someone having an HCA parked in this area would negatively impact a place that's ready to open up next month. And I'm just trying to weigh this. Like, I don't think we can tell what the saturation is downtown yet, because 4 of these places haven't opened up yet. And
Right.
I think it's hard to analyze something on paper and looking at a map and how close they are. And I think we have I would like to get some more information about where they are in the process before I make a decision about whether or not a buffer zone should be pierced yet again in this particular area. Like,
And I understand that, but how, and I'm just asking questions. Believe me, this is my mind asking questions. So some of these places that have had these HCAs for 2 years and no maybe indication of opening anytime soon, should that hamper an establishment that may be better place to open up faster? I mean, so to me, that's what I'm wondering. Is it fair to deny somebody who may have all this stuff together and ready to open because somebody started way before but may not have the same type of backing or financial, and they're holding on to a host agreement but preventing other maybe better established entities to open? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think I agree with you. I think I just like some more information, because I just we haven't heard from some of these places in so long. And some of the opposition to this applicant is hanging their hat on the fact that downtown is saturated. Exactly. I don't know if that's the case, because we are tasked with, the buffer zone has become such a hot button issue between us and the ZBA and the public and the narrative out there that we just breeze through these things without taking a close look. So taking that view of downtown as a whole, because people are pushing us to see if this is saturated. Those are the questions I have right now. It's not like we have approved places right next to each other, and we've made arguments that it's not going to impact them. We have restaurants downtown in clusters and it doesn't negatively impact them, but the cannabis law was passed with the buffer zone for a purpose, and I feel like it's our duty to get a little bit more information. That's what I've been doing the last couple of hours, last couple of days, is trying to figure out what this half-mile buffer zone means, where the support comes from, where the opposition comes from, if it's true that it's going to negatively impact it. I think it was, in my opinion, they scored high everywhere, but the buffer zone really is something that we're tasked with taking a deeper dive into. And I think that to give credence to our work here, it wouldn't be unjust to take that extra time until next month.
Oh, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. Like I said, I forgot that those other places were licensed because they've been licensed for so long.
Yeah.
So I forgot about them. So I don't disagree with you there, because matter of fact, I was actually not in favor of this, but after reading some of the security updates and things, I found that they answered all my concerns. But I agree. Maybe we should take a little time and see what's going on with these other places, because you're right. They now have the burden of why us in a buffer zone is basically it, right? So yeah, maybe we should see. But how would, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you, Chairwoman. We do need to see, but people could give us answers just to knock this team out the running.
Well, I think what I was thinking of more like having our staff who talk regularly to the CCC to make an inquiry about status update.
Okay.
We get email traffic about other ones that we've had for a long time. I'm thinking of one in particular in Charlestown that I don't know what the status is, that we're getting tons of email traffic, and it was only after we inquired to the CCC, they hadn't even submitted their provisional application up there.
Yeah.
So they could still be like parking their HCA in the city of Boston and not have moved forward. I guess that's the one question I have, is like, what is the status of these other ones?
Right.
Is it true that they are a true buffer?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Are you all set, Commissioner Holmes?
Yes, I said yes, I agree. Yes.
Commissioner Holmes, I know you've had questions about security too, so I don't want to overshadow your.
Well, no. I mean, if we're gonna wait to defer, well, the question, mine was some wording I wanted to change in that security thing about, who has access to what levels. I just wanted to make the wording very deliberate. Like, for once, I'll give you what the thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
In the security plan on page, I got it right here. It has to do, okay. So it's on page, what page is this? I don't know, but it has to do with the third floor, and it's the very first line under the sketch where it says, finished marijuana products will not be permitted on the third floor at any time. First of all, I don't know what's finished.
Is council?
So I would change that so we don't have any ambiguity to no cannabis products would be allowed, finished or unfinished. I don't know what finished means.
I believe Councilor Zakom is on, or someone from that team want to speak to that.
Yeah, this is Victor Chang from the applicant. I can answer. So finished marijuana is a CCC actually term where they use it to mean any final packaged product that is ready for retail sale.
Okay, can't we just be easy and say none?
Sure. Yep. Absolutely.
No.
I was just using a CCC term. Apologies for that.
Yeah, I've worked with lawyers enough. Finished can turn into a whole bunch of different things later on in life. So let's be real clear. No cannabis products.
Yep. We can do that.
Yeah, no cannabis. And some of this, the way I read it, although Mr. Chang, it wasn't how you guys explained it, but some of this that I read infers that people can kind of go between floors. Originally last week you said nobody could purchase on the first floor and then go to the upper floors. Some of this reads like people can kind of go from floor to floor. So,
No, so yeah, we would, anyone who, to be clear, anyone who wants to purchase, we would make them purchase at the end, or
Right.
if they had made a purchase and then wanted to go upstairs, we would hold their product in their
Okay,
regular
so
bag.
can we make that absolutely clear in that?
Of course.
And basically that was another thing, the access to the recording studio, the third floor, which is Freedom Hall.
Mhm.
Are there security monitors or security people in the elevators allowing access? We cannot let the customers determine where they're going in this elevator.
So like secure floors, you would need the badge ID to make the
Okay.
elevator stop on that floor.
Got you. Okay. All right. And that would be the people who, like you talked about last week, which already have the clearance and access, and they've already been vetted before
Correct.
they even come in.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. That's for the recording studio, but Freedom Hall is a public space, right?
It's a public space. So when it's in use, customers could just go up to the third floor
Alone.
alone.
So that would mean somebody could purchase on the first floor, purchase merchandise, purchase cannabis on the first floor. The second floor, if I'm not mistaken, has whatever other kind of merchandise. And they could still take that bag and go up to the third floor?
So if a customer on the first floor wasn't heading toward the exit door, right, this is where the staff who's operating the first floor would ask them to where we would hold the exit bag until they came back down.
Okay.
So really, it is our staff would monitor, as well as on the third floor when it is in use, we would have our staff there as well.
Okay.
So if our staff saw a customer just walking around with a bag, again, we would ask to hold it for them until they're ready to leave the facility.
Okay, so now, I'm gonna ask you this question. I don't know if you have how many security guards are you planning to employ? Because this is a big space.
Yep. I mean, I think on at any one time, you would have at least 2 on the first floor manning sort of the doors and checking IDs.
Yeah.
And then you would have security on the second and third floor, right?
Okay.
Where
Will
customers
somebody always be monitoring the elevator? This elevator is sticking me. It's my sore spot. This elevator.
Yep. I mean, again, I don't think right now we envision having a security person just sitting in the elevator all day. I think it is much more when customers come in and out of the elevator.
Oh. So, okay. Would it be possible? Okay. Would it be possible to have one security person designated for the elevator with the security passes to allow people access? I have a problem with allowing the customers their own access to your secured floors. I have a problem with them being in the elevator themselves, because malfunctions happen, things happen, mistakes happen. Somebody is going to be able to access a floor they're not supposed to by a fluke.
Yep.
So would it be, or could you, and I'm gonna say would it be, could you possibly conceive having a designated elevator person to monitor who is using the elevator?
Yeah, we could.
Because I think that would cause you a lot less agita than just allowing people to use the elevator themselves. Somebody has to be there to monitor, because let's be honest, the human beings are going to do as much as they can to get away with as much as they can.
Yep.
So in order to save yourself, let's just prevent that and have that be a stationary security spot.
Okay. Yep. We can put a staff member there, a security staff.
And yeah, that was my concern with just allowing people, the honor system of people to get in that elevator and saying, oh, well, you have to have a pass. I know just how quick somebody can slide a pass to somebody else to let them go somewhere they're not supposed to. It happens. Humans are humans. If they feel they can get away with something, they're going to try.
Yeah, I will tell you, operating a store, employees know you cannot lose your badge. I mean, that is a termination event, because when CCC comes in for an inspection, if you don't have your badge on you, that's a deficiency.
Okay.
So employees aren't allowed to take the badge home with them at night. It stays at the facility. So when you sign in, it gets issued to you. When you leave, you take it. So there's an inventory check of all the badging before the store closes. And so we always know every day if a badge is missing or not.
Got you. Okay.
It is
now
something that
that's-
CCC takes very
Okay.
seriously. Yeah, you got to have your ID on you always.
Okay, well, that's fine. Well, you answered all my questions, so I'm good. Thank you all
Oh,
for
no problem.
indulging me with
Can
that.
I add to that, Commissioner Lisa? I just want to state that we are in conversations with 2 minority-owned security companies that will help us with managing our security in Faneuil Hall. First Alpha Security and Smart Security Company, which is a 45-year retired Boston Police Department veteran that's retired now in the cannabis space.
Right.
Okay, nope, that's fine. I'm good with it. Good afternoon, Mr. Bivens.
Hey, I just been listening. You know, we couldn't sleep last night, but we awake now. We awake now. I love it. I love it. Vet it out. Vet it all the way out.
Yep, we're good. Yeah, he answered all, Mr. Chang answered all my security questions, so I'm fine with that. And just resume with the chairperson for whatever. Now we're gonna go back and figure out how we're gonna vote on this.
Oh, well, we're gonna listen to Commissioner Lombos and Commissioner Sanguine, and then we'll do the vote. Commissioner Lombos?
Yeah, thank you. And it is really nice to have this team of commissioners because you always make me think of things I haven't thought about. So it's great. Always rely on Commissioner Holmes on the security. So if she's good, I'm good. Everybody knows that. Chairwoman Joyce, I think the things that you brought up around saturation and things like that are important things to think about for sure. And I, though, am inclined and have been, it was a really strong application from my perspective. The way I do rely on the score sheet, knowing that there's a buffer zone to see if there are, as you said, anything special. I think this is a pretty special application with the music and the opportunities for artists here locally. I'm not an economist. I'm not I don't do market surveys. So I don't know what the saturation point is. So I can't speak to that. So I understand your concern around that, but I do think Faneuil Hall is a different thing. And while I see that as part of downtown, I do also see it as kind of a separate space. So I think your questions around saturation, whatever we get answered, wouldn't necessarily compel me to not approve this application. I think it's a compelling application. I think it does have something special. And if the security questions are all good, then I'm good. So I'm also willing to make sure that everybody feels good about this moving forward. I just want to make sure that, a month to us may not seem like anything, but a month to someone starting up a business does mean a lot. There's a lot of extra costs, there's a lot of waiting, and there's no guarantee that, this buffer zone will even go through the zoning board. So just want to, it could be a long time before. So those are just my thoughts. Again, I'm very much interested in hearing what Commissioner Zangian thinks and also how we make sure that we all feel very confident in moving this application forward.
Commissioner Sanguine?
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. So I am concerned about the location and the saturation. I do understand that Faneuil Hall is its own ecosystem. I don't know that I would argue that the establishment on State Street is outside of Faneuil Hall. I maybe technically in how it's zoned or what have you, but that is the same area. So, Faneuil Hall, Haymarket, people are going to all those same areas. So I don't know, I don't see it as so separate from places that are literally like, you can almost see them. I do appreciate the uniqueness of the application. I think it's, that definitely gives it an advantage. I don't know that it's an advantage strong enough to not just pierce the buffer zone, but actually explode it, right? So, and I don't think, and it's not just tourism that's not coming back to downtown yet. It's also the workers and the offices, and we've seen a number of other establishments really struggling in this post-COVID, and the fact that the impact would be significant on other equity applicants also raises a lot of red flags, a lot of concerns for me. So what I'm kind of with the chairwoman on how much information would we need. I do believe that Apex just got their final, Apex Market just got their final license approval by the CCC last week. And I believe that a couple of the other establishments are currently building out, but there needs to be a lot more information. And but I think I don't think that the foot traffic or just the density of the area supports a sixth establishment within the buffer zone that would almost most certainly impact the success of other equity applicants.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any other commissioners have any additional thoughts? No, Chairwoman Joyce, is there a motion?
Yeah, 1 second, I'm just looking at my calendar. I want to make a motion to defer our vote on this application until we get confirmation from the CCC on the status of the other establishments within the half-mile buffer zone.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3, so that's Chairwoman Joyce, Commissioner Holmes, Commissioner St. Commissioner Lobos,
Do we,
or
is
no, or
it just deferred next month or?
I would say till next month.
Okay,
I just want to get that information. I'm just concerned because it's downtown. I've always looked at it as more concerned to the neighborhoods being more protective of the establishments, the neighborhoods. But looking at downtown and what it offers, not neighbors, but like you said, business people, workers and stuff. While I don't take competition as a reason to reject an application at all, I don't do that on the licensing board. I do take into consideration the saturation, whether or not this area can sustain, get another place. That's where I come from with my licensing hat on. And, you know, people have been beating their chests about the buffer zone a lot. It's been in the news, and I just feel like I need to do my due diligence. I didn't have enough time to make those connections and get that information from the CCC.
Chairwoman Joyce, you are so compelling in your experience in licensing. So I will vote to defer as well.
all right, so that's all 4 members agreed to defer, so the motion passed. So this item will be deferred till next month. All right. Next item we have is Hazel Boston LLC, DBA Simplicity Dispensary. The proposed license premise is 313 Old Colony Ave, South Boston. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary. The proposed hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant, and there is no buffer zone. We will start with comments from the board members, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. While there's no buffer zone here, this actually scored very low for me in just about every category. I don't like the location. And those are my comments.
Commissioner Holmes.
I echo my chairwoman's sentiments. This location is definitely less than desirable. That's it.
Commissioner Lobos.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had some low scores here on this all the way around. There were some highlights for sure. I think that there is an interest in paying higher wages, or at least what the market is bearing right now. But I would say that unfortunately, it scored very low for me too.
Commissioner Sangian?
So, this one, it's scored sort of medium for me across the different areas in a way that I have voted to defer to allow the candidate, the applicant more time to come back. I do think that the sticking point of the location is difficult to overcome. I am of the belief that these establishments actually help stabilize and bring security, and I don't see the connection between those that are going in NA and AA and having a cannabis place right next door. I think that there's just such a heightened level of security and so forth that is not as much of an issue, although I understand that this is new for the state and the city. And so I think that'll be, as I mentioned before in a previous contentious, not contentious, but where we disagreed on the appropriateness of a location. I think it was on West Street, right next to Bridge Over Troubled Waters, that I didn't see that it would be a direct impact, and I don't see it here as well. I think there are areas of improvement for the applicant. So this type of applicant, I will vote to defer. Well, I won't vote to defer because I'm sure the other votes will overcome mine based on the comments. But I do want to just caution that, when we are looking at certain neighborhoods, there could be a lot of neighborhood feedback, negative against any kind of cannabis establishment. And I think if we're prepared to say there are zones that are completely off limits to cannabis establishments, or if they need to meet a certain criteria, I think it's something that could be explored. I also appreciate that they're having a hearing at 1 o'clock, between 1 and 4, there's a certain community of people who are able to come and spend time and share their opinions, and that that also could sway the opinion of those of us who are hearing. At least I can only speak for myself, so have to really think about, is a lot of community opposition really all community opposition, or is it a certain community's opposition to the location? And so so the location, actually, it's not as huge of a concern for me, and I think that there's it's a place that's been laid, hasn't really needs improvement for many decades. And so I would see, if I lived in the neighborhood, would see it as an opportunity and less of a challenge. So but on the other parts of the application, there it wasn't a super high score in all the other places that I would definitely say yes, move forward. It, to be honest, would be one that I would vote to defer until they had further were able to revise their application a bit, make it stronger. I think I'll abstain probably from this vote.
Sorry, Commissioner.
No, I'll probably abstain from this vote then.
Any other comments from the commissioners? No, Chairwoman Joyce, is there a motion?
Yes. I vote to reject this application. I make a motion to reject. In my opinion, there isn't anything they can do to improve this location. Like the physical location of it doesn't, to me, doesn't seem like there's a path forward. So that's my motion, a motion to reject with prejudice.
Reject with prejudice, which means the applicant wouldn't be able to reapply at this location for a year.
Yes.
Is there a second? Commissioner Wombo, second. All in favor? Commissioner Wombo, Commissioner Holmes, Commissioner St. Pierre? No, you're abstaining. So that's 3-1, so the motion passed, so this application is rejected with prejudice. The next applicant we have is Build a Life Legacy LLC, DBA The Pot. The proposed license premise is 536 to 538 River Street, Mattapan. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary. The proposed hours of operation are Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. There is no buffer zone conflict. Chairwoman Joyce, do you want to start with your comments?
Thanks, Jasmine. I was happy to see this application. There's no buffer zone. They had, I'm sure the other commissioners will speak to their expertise, but throughout the entire board memo, everything was very well defined and very well explained. This location is very densely populated, but I think it works to their benefit in this area. I think it's helpful. They've worked with the community. My advice to them would be to continue to work with the community. I think they're good. They would be good neighbors, and I think they would be good partners with the other organizations in the area. I don't have any big issues to spell out, except for asking them to continue to work with the church there and to continue to be a good neighbor.
Commissioner Holmes?
Agreed. My only concern was the ABCD and the church across, and I wanted to hear from the pastor, and I read her letter this morning, and there seems to be great cooperation between the church, the Build a Life establishment, and the Mattapan Square merchants. So I would agree with the chairperson. I would just ask that they continue to work with the church and the community, and to just continue to just be a good neighbor and keep that coordination and that just that camaraderie together, because it's a tough location, and with a church and a childcare place across the street, I'm always very concerned about those issues. But reading the Reverend's letter this morning, seems like they have a good working relationship. So I can breathe with that.
Commissioner Lobos?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would add is that I thought it was very thoughtful on the goals and the diversity and the JEDI committee, and just thought that was great to include as a very specific thing. And this is the kind of applicant that I would love to see our staff or TA team, or if there's ways that we can help at all in helping them reach those goals. We want all the businesses to succeed, obviously, but again, they have some really good high goals. I'd love to see them be able to pay their employees a little bit more, and that will just I think lend itself to being a very successful business. So again, nothing really to add. I really like the JEDI, really like the goals, and really want to find ways that we can support them.
Commissioner St. Pierre?
Not much more to add. I thought it was a great application, really thorough, great presentation. And I think it's a great opportunity both for the operators and for the neighborhood.
Chairwoman Joyce, is there a motion?
I make a motion to grant this application.
Is there a second? Commissioner Holmes, all in favor? None opposed. This applicant is granted. Oh, let's see. All right. The next applicant we have is Sweet and Sour LLC. The proposed license premise is 565 Columbus Ave, South End. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant, and there is a buffer zone conflict. Chairwoman Joyce?
I could go back to listen to my comments about the buffer zone, but I'm going to open up again and say we really do have a statutory duty to begin from a place of opposition to any application within the buffer zone. This applicant is looking to open up in the South End and a retail establishment. Something that stood out to me was their lack of accessibility. Didn't like the idea of just waiting until someone who came by that couldn't get up the stairs to come out and take an order. I don't think that's a way to run a business, especially in a neighborhood like that, or in any neighborhood. So I did not like the location. They scored low for me in a couple of those categories. I'm very familiar with that block. I don't think it was built out to be this type of retail establishment, so I don't think it really fits in with that area. So it really didn't score exceptionally high for me, and it had the buffer zone issue that I'm taking a close look at.
Commissioner Holmes?
Ditto what the commissioner said. I don't need to reverberate any of it. I agree. The accessibility was the big key for me.
Commissioner Obus?
Ditto, and just explain again that the buffer zone really needs to have an exceptional, application for me anyway, in the scores. And unfortunately, they weren't, my score is not high enough to justify the buffer zone.
Commissioner St. Pierre?
They scored pretty well for me across the board. And I also understand the issue of the buffer zone. And I've argued before that even within buffer zone, there are different neighborhoods, and I believe this applies somewhat. I do agree that it was the accessibility piece was really difficult. I know there are a lot of retail establishments in the area that have the same issue, but I think along with the buffer zone and the accessibility, then I prefer to see this in a different location.
Chairwoman Joyce, is there a motion?
Yes. I make a motion to reject this application with prejudice.
So reject with prejudice, which again means that the applicant cannot reapply at this location for a year. Is there a second? Commissioner Holmes, second. All in favor? All four are in favor, none opposed, so this application is rejected with prejudice. All right, we're gonna move to old and new business. Motion to amend host community agreements in accordance with chapter 180 of the Acts of 2022 and an active relative to equity in cannabis industry, which was signed into law on August 11, 2022. The act amends General Law, Chapter 94G, which governs the sale of cannabis in the state. These amendments include changes to the process by which a municipality may collect community impact fees under the HCA that cannabis businesses must enter into with host community municipalities. Chairwoman Joyce.
I just want to invite Commissioner Holmes, since this is old and new business, Commissioner Smith, I'm sorry, to vote on this too, since he's present.
Oh.
I vote to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Holmes, all in favor? All commissioners in favor? All right, those are all the matters before the board today. Our next transactional hearing will take place on November 9th, 2022 at 1 p.m. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Thank you.